have it backwards. This is the biggest moth in the entire world. It's called an Atlas moth. Lives all through Asia. Now, one of the bad things is it lives for 1 week. All your big moths, like this one, this big yellow one, these over here, only live for 1 week. Now, you would think, though, since this is so big, it'd be very easy for a bird to see it, and that bird would have a nice, juicy meal. But they scare birds away in a really cool way. They imitate a cobra. And what I mean by that, see, if he was resting in a tree like this, and all the bird saw was the edge of the wing, it would look like the cobra's body. The little gray dot looks like the eye, the red stripe looks like the mouth. So if he was climbing around in a tree, a bird would think that it was a cobra. We're going to have the questions at the end, sir, but please remember it. So the bird would see that. Since snakes eat birds, bird's going to book out of town. So the biggest moth in the world protects itself by looking like a cobra. Now this is the biggest moth in the world, but I also have the smallest butterfly in the whole world. It lives in Texas. And all your life they're going to tell you, everything is bigger in Texas. Well, they lie. Because it's home to the pygmy blue. I'm going to bring it around to everyone. Its wings together. Is I have a butterfly farm. I raise butterflies. I'm not a butterfly collector. I'm not somebody who goes out there, catches every butterfly they could find just so they could kill it and put it in the frame. All these butterflies and moths that you see here, I either raise in the United States or in Central America. Now, most butterflies only live for 2 weeks. So I let them fly around my flight house, and then when they die all by themselves, that's when I save them for you. See, I put them in these special frames. Now the white stuff in here is a very special cotton. It's softer than the cotton you have at home. And the frames are nice and thick. And because that cotton is so soft and the frames are so thick, when I put the butterflies in here, I don't squish their guts out all over the place. Yeah, I don't think anybody wants to look at a bunch of bug guts. By you looking at my butterflies, you'll decide that you want to study them also. Now, I do sell butterflies, but I only sell live butterflies to people who promise not to hurt them. And most of the butterflies I raise, we use for weddings. So everybody at the wedding gets a butterfly in a paper envelope, they stand outside. When the bride and groom come out, everybody opens up the envelopes, the butterflies fly up, they swarm around. Coolest thing you ever saw. But I also like to let them go at funerals too. See, going back about 10,000 years, people felt that when we died, we became butterflies. And with those wings, you were able to go to heaven. And in many languages, the word soul and butterfly is actually the same word. But we also let them go at graduations, birthday parties, and even divorces. And I build a lot of butterfly zoos. I build a lot of butterfly gardens. I've been on Animal Planet, Discovery, Home and Garden, Pennsylvania Outdoors. I do a lot of TV shows. But I wasn't always interested in butterflies. When I was a kid, bugs were bugs. You drove over them with your bicycle, you poked them with sticks, maybe you put them in jars and let them beat the daylights out of each other, because after all, hey, they were only bugs. But what happened to me was, 31 years ago, I went out for a walk one day. This butterfly started to fly all around me, and I was able to catch it. And when I looked at it, I saw that on the back wing, it had a silver question mark. I thought that was the coolest thing I ever saw. And I had to find out what that butterfly was called. So I jumped in my car, drove out to the mall. I bought a book on butterflies, looked it up, and found out he was called question mark butterfly. Now I should have been able to figure that one out all by myself. But as I looked through that book, I saw that we have 720 beautiful butterflies in the United States. And around here, you could find 147 different butterflies. So I want to see how many I could find. So I went out and I started to find butterflies, caterpillars, chrysalises, and I brought those home. And as soon as that first butterfly was born in my house, so this is all I'm going to do for the rest of my life is raise butterflies. And I got pretty good at it too. Because if you go to any search engine on your computer and you type in the words butterfly expert, I come up #1 on that list. And that's because I just played with a bunch of bugs for the last 31 years. But like anything else, if you want to get very good at something, you have to read all the books you can find. So I read every butterfly book I could get my hands on. And a problem that I ran into, the more books that I read, the more mistakes I found. And I'll give you kids a good example. How many of you children had to read The Very Hungry Caterpillar in school? Okay, you can put your hands back down, thank you. Now, Eric Carle is a good author, but he doesn't know anything about butterflies. And when he told you in The Very Hungry Caterpillar, that caterpillar made a cocoon, but then it became a butterfly. That's not true. Moth caterpillars construct a cocoon, butterfly caterpillars become a chrysalis. And the difference is, when that moth caterpillar is in your garden, and it feels time that it needs to grow up and become an adult, they gather leaves together. And then he wraps it all up with one piece of silk that's 1/2 mile long. And he wraps that silk around those leaves. And when that dries, this becomes very hard and waterproof. Now, about 4,000 years ago, some people in China discovered that if you took a cocoon like this and you put it into boiling hot water, it's going to come apart. And you'll be able to take that piece of silk and you could unwind it, and you're going to end up with stuff that looks like this. Well, if you have a lot of cocoons, you're going to end up with a lot of silk. And then they found out, not only is it very soft, but it's very, very strong. It's perfect for making clothes. So you kids, the next time you see your mother wearing a beautiful silk blouse, remember all she's wearing is dried up caterpillar spit. Because if you look at it, that's all silk is. So if some morning you see your father wearing a beautiful silk tie like this, remember to give him a compliment and tell him, that's a beautiful cocoon you're wearing today. Well, I read so many mistakes in so many books. That's when I decided I'm going to write my own books. And so far I've read 8 different books on butterflies. And I have my 3 favorite to show you today. This one I was very proud of, because I got to take all the pictures in here. And many of the pictures I took are right in my own garden, because I know what kind of flowers butterflies like, so I make those butterflies come to me. Then, I see one of my friends brought her copy. I did the butterfly fan nest. I made a book out of bookmarks, which is perfect for a day like today. Because if you're outside watching butterflies, you can fan yourself. And say you're watching butterflies and a bee or a wasp comes along, and it looks like they're going to sting you, good smack. I also did the family butterfly book. Now the reason I wrote this book, if you go outside and look underneath the leaves of the plants, you're going to find eggs, caterpillars, chrysalises, but you don't know what they look like. So what I did in here, I put in pictures of all the different butterflies, the eggs, the caterpillars, their chrysalis is, and I show you how you could bring them home and how you could raise them also. I want you kids to take a good look at this caterpillar. You see how he's yellow? He has that big silly looking brown head with the poofy eye in the middle. Okay, now, he's completely harmless. It's called a silver spotted skipper. So it cannot hurt you. The cool thing about this caterpillar though, if you very gently squeeze it right in the middle, he shoots his poop about 3 feet. So, if you find one on the branch of a plant, call your friends over. When they get about 2 feet away, boom, let them have it. Now, you're not going to stain their shirt. It just looks like a little pencil eraser. It's only going to bounce right off them. Now, if you had a bunch of them, you could have all kinds of cool contests, like who could shoot it the highest, the furthest. And if you find a big bunch of them, you could have a caterpillar squirt gun battle. How gross is that? I'll tell you kids another great fact. You know the little white caterpillar? Excuse me. No. The little white butterflies you see all over your lawn, everybody calls them cabbage moths. They're cabbage butterflies. Now, if you catch one of them, look at the big wing. If you see 2 black dots on each big wing, that's a girl. If you put her in a paper bag like this with a piece of cabbage, she's going to lay eggs all over that piece of cabbage. You have little green caterpillars, then eventually little white butterflies. But if you go to the grocery store and get a head of red cabbage, when they lay their eggs on red cabbage, those caterpillars are going to be born pink when they become butterflies. If you put blue food coloring on there, they'll come out blue. If you put green color on the cabbage, they'll emerge green. Now see, I know this stuff because I'm a butterfly expert. But it's easy to be a butterfly expert because nobody knows anything about butterflies. Excuse me, girls. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to make you instant butterfly experts. I'm going to teach you exactly how their bodies work. Now, if I was a butterfly, the most important part of my life would be my wings. You can't be a good butterfly unless you have a decent pair of wings. Check it out. Now, if you look very closely at a butterfly, what you're going to see is their bodies are completely covered with hair. They're very hairy creatures. So let's give the butterfly a nice hairy body. Now, butterflies don't have noses on their faces. Butterflies smell with their antennas. So if I was a butterfly, it'd be as if I had my noses on my heads. And that's how they find the flowers in your garden. Not by sight, by scent. So a butterfly is going to be flying all around your neighborhood. It's going to smell the flowers in your garden with its antennas. Then it's going to come into your garden and choose its favorite colors. Their favorite colors are purple, pink, yellow, white, blue, and then red. Now butterflies have ears, but they're not on their heads. Butterflies actually hear with their knees. So their eardrums, the part of your ear that actually hears, is located on their knees. Now, I want everybody to take a nice deep breath, go, and exhale. Now when we did that, we breathe in through our nose or our mouth, it fills our lungs, and then we exhale. Butterflies don't breathe through their nose or their mouth. Butterflies don't even have lungs. Butterflies breathe through spiracles. Now that's a scientific term that means they have openings in their abdomens. So if I was a butterfly, I'd have a whole bunch of holes in my belly called spiracles. And every time that butterfly breathes, all the air would go into those spiracles, circulate through its entire body, and come right back out those same openings. So all butterflies breathe through holes in their belly. Now all butterflies have 6 legs, so let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to need 2 more legs here if I'm going to be a proper butterfly. Now the really cool thing about butterfly legs is butterflies taste with their feet. So a butterfly is going to come into your garden, it's going to land on the flower, taste the nectar with its feet. Once it tastes that nectar, then it's going to uncurl its big long drinking tube, its proboscis. See, butterflies have 2 tongues that are as long as they are. They take those 2 tongues and they keep them curled together like this. So land on the flower, taste the nectar, uncurl that proboscis, and take a drink. Now when you're outside and you see a butterfly in a flower and you try to catch it, the reason it flies away isn't because it sees your 2 fingers coming after it, it's because it sees 2,000 fingers. Butterflies have very wonderful eyes. They could see thousands of directions at once. So if I had eyes like a butterfly, they would look like this. Now this helps the butterflies in 2 ways too. Because if something comes after that butterfly, he's going to see it coming, he'll become frightened and he'll fly away. But when a butterfly looks at a flower, because the eyes are all goofy like this, all the colors get mixed together. They form a target. They tell the butterfly exactly where to land to get its drink of nectar. And then while it's drinking from the flower, that's when the flower puts pollen on the butterfly. Then it'll take that pollen to the next flower, the next one, and the next one. So they are important to us because they do keep a lot of our flowers nice and healthy. And remember, once it lands on a flower and it tastes that nectar, it has to uncurl that long proboscis. So if I had a proboscis like a butterfly, it would look like this. Now, I don't know about you, but if butterflies look like this, I'd be afraid to go out of my house. Now, you would think because the proboscis is so long, it would get caught on stickers and branches and easily be damaged. So in order to protect it, he keeps it curled up in front of his head like this. And then once he lands on a flower, then it's party time. Now, most people don't know how to tell the difference between a butterfly and a moth. Everybody thinks that if it's ugly, flies at night and eats your sweaters, it's a moth. But if it's beautiful and flies during the day, it has to be a butterfly. That's not true. Many moths fly during the day. Many butterflies don't like the sunshine. One of my trips to the Dominican Republic, we actually discovered a butterfly that lives inside a cage. And I think this is the most beautiful moth in the whole world. This is the sunset moth. Now he only flies during the day. And they even migrate like the monarch butterfly does. Could you move over and get out of the aisle like I asked? The questions are still going to be at the end no matter how long you keep your arm up.
You making video?
So this is the most beautiful moth in the world.
And this is me.
Well, if moths can be beautiful and fly during the day, and some butterflies not so beautiful and don't like the sunshine, how do you tell the difference? Look at the antennas. If they look like 2 strings with little balls on the end, it's a butterfly. But if the antennas look like 2 feathers, then it's a moth. Now, the way you tell the difference between the boys and the girls, look at the antennas. If they look like big fat feathers, it's a boy. If they look like skinny feathers, it's a girl. And if you get a girl, all you have to do is get that paper bag, put her inside, you don't even need leaves. Fold the top over, put a paper clip, a binder clip on here. Now when I put a girl in here, I only leave her there for 1 day. Now the most eggs I ever received from one girl in 1 day was 703. Then you're going to have 703 caterpillars, then eventually 703 adults. So you don't need a jungle helmet and a big net. You don't have to go running through your neighbor's yard like some kind of nut. Because if you get that girl, she's going to be happy to share her eggs with you. Now I'm very fortunate. I do get to travel quite a bit. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you some pictures of some of the butterflies I find, some of the ones that you could find, and then I'm going to show you how to make cages and traps so you can catch your own butterflies. And I got the lights for us here. You're not a nice guy. Now, I happen to think butterflies are the most beautiful things in the world. And if you take your time and look at them, every one is more beautiful than the one before. Now, I like these guys. They're called clubtails, but the actual name is cuckoo. And I think it's just fun saying cuckoo. Now, this is a 98 butterfly, but this is an 88. You can find every number and every letter of the alphabet on a butterfly wing somewhere in the world. These are all different butterfly wings. Like with the O, we use the owl butterfly. For the J, you use Papilio blumi, flip them upside down, and you'll find a blue jay. With the Parnassus, if you look at the little mark on its back wing, it's actually the letter Q. So, the next time you take out a butterfly book, look for all the wings and see if you could spell your name in butterfly wings. Now, this is the question mark that got me interested. Now, this isn't a butterfly, it's a moth. There's a lot of beautiful moths out there. This one is from Asia also, and it's called the moon moth because it has those big long tails. But in your garden for the next probably 2 weeks, you're going to find a Luna moth. Now, if you want to collect Luna moths, they come very quickly to bright lights. So if you shine a bright light on the white wall of a house or hang a sheet in your garden, they'll come right to that bright light. Now, a lot of people, excuse me. Thank you. Excuse me too. Now, a lot of people would stay away from this thinking it was a wasp, but this is actually a polka dot moth. And this one is the hummingbird moth. And they flap their wings so fast it even makes a humming sound. Now everybody knows the monarch butterfly, and the way we tell the difference between the boys and the girls, look at the back wing. If you see these 2 black dots, that's a boy. If you don't see those black dots, that's a girl, and you could get her to start laying eggs for you. Now you might go outside to see if your monarch butterfly is a boy or a girl, and see a black line all the way through the back wing. That's a viceroy. Now, they're orange and black, just like the monarch butterfly is, to tell birds that they're dangerous. They're either going to make them sick, or they just taste really bad. And this is the white one I told you about, the cabbage whites with the 2 black dots. That's the female. And that's the one, if you put her on different colored cabbages, you can affect the color of her babies. Now, if you kids go out to look for butterflies, every one that you see, you have to look at very closely. Because, see, you could discover a new butterfly that no one ever found before. Then you have the privilege of naming it. I have a butterfly in Hawaii named after me, and I have a moth in Argentina named after me. But there's a lot of butterflies named after kids. Here we have 2 Sarah butterflies. This one's from New Jersey, this one from Costa Rica. Here we have Vanessa, Isabella, and Julia. Edward, Thomas, and Mitchell. Melissa, Amanda, Heather, and Holly. Kenny, Evan, and Dakota. Olivia, Dana, and Bella. Victoria, Grace, Rosita, and Sophia. And the biggest of all, the Queen Alexandria. Now, with the Queen Alexandria, the boy is green and black. The girl is black and white. Now, these kids live in the Philippines, and they catch and sell butterflies. And they can actually make more money than their parents do. Now, this kid's name is Nicholas. He's 9 years old. And I've been buying butterflies from him for the last 5 years. And every summer he makes a couple $100 just selling butterflies to me. Now I get to travel all around the world looking for butterflies. And just a few days ago, I was here in South Lake Tahoe. And we still had 6 feet of snow on the ground. It was 75 degrees, and I was still finding butterflies. But the best butterflies are in the rainforest. So every chance I get, I'm in a jungle somewhere in the world. And I get to see a lot of wonderful things. And actually, this is a research station I work at in the Osa Peninsula, Costa Rica. And I love it there because we have the best neighbors in the whole world. Like leafcutter ants, toucans and parrots, sloths, coatimundian lizards. And I really like poison dart frogs, but this kid loves them. And we also find a lot of really scary bugs. Some of them as big as your arm. Now, we have cicadas. Excuse me, kids. Excuse me, kids. You too, kids. Excuse me. Now, we have cicadas in New Jersey, but the cicadas we have in the rainforest look more like a helicopter. And we have the strangest bugs you'll ever find. This one is called a giraffe weevil. This is his stomach, here's his neck, this is his head, and his 2 antennas. Now I like these guys because it looks like he's wearing sunglasses and he's whistling. Now this is called a face beetle, and this looks like his 2 eyes, here's the nose, the mouth, and it looks like his tongue is sticking out. But actually, this is his head all the way down here. These are the 2 buggy eyes and his 2 antennas. Now, just like us, we all look alike, but we still look a little bit different. So if you get a whole bunch of them all together, they all look different than each other. But naturally, we go down for all the really great caterpillars and butterflies. Now this one's called the assassin caterpillar. The reason it's called the assassin caterpillar, if you touch it, you have about 15 hours to live. But in those 15 hours, you're going to be in excruciating pain, and blood is actually going to squirt out of every opening in your body. But they do not live in New Jersey, they live in a Brazilian rainforest basin. But we go down because that's where the most beautiful butterflies live. Now, one of the most unusual places we found to find butterflies is on the heads of crocodiles and turtles. See, if they live in salt water, they drink in a lot of salt. That salt comes out in their tear ducts. So the butterflies learned that if they land on the heads of the crocodiles, they could actually drink their tears and get the salt that they need. Now, I think this is everybody's favorite, the big blue morpho butterflies. The great thing about the blue morpho butterflies, all you do is wear a blue shirt. If you're in the rainforest and you have a blue shirt on, all the blue morphos that see you will try to land on your blue shirt. And then you just take the ones you need and chase the other ones away. But now when they land on a tree and they put their wings together, you'll see they have perfect camouflage. They just blend into the background. Now I love owl butterflies, and from above, they just look like the sky coming through the branches of the tree, maybe a little bit of sunlight. But when they land in a tree and put their wings together, that's when they expose the eye spots. Now a bird's not going to attack that because those eyes could belong to a predator, something that would eat the bird. Now you don't have to go to rainforest to find something that cool. For the next 2 weeks, you're going to find a polyphemus moth in your garden, and you'll see it has those same wonderful eye spots. Or you could find a sphinx moth. And you wonder, how could a little bug like that scare away a bird? Well, if you're a little sparrow, you land on a branch of a tree, turn your head, and you see this, you're going to think twice. Now, I think this is the most beautiful caterpillar in New Jersey. It cannot hurt you, but I'd like you to notice these white circles. They're the holes in its belly that it uses to breathe with. But how could you not love a beautiful face like that? Now this, I think, looks more like a Yorkie puppy dog than an actual caterpillar. And this is the woolly bear. You'll see these all through September and October, but they don't make their cocoon until the following spring. And they only become a very unattractive moth. This is the biggest caterpillar you can find in New Jersey, the hickory-horned devil. Now it's completely harmless, but it will get to be bigger than a hot dog. Now these are tiger swallowtail caterpillars, and we would think that these are the caterpillar's eyes, but actually their eyes are down here. Caterpillars could only tell if it's day or night. They can't appreciate colors, and they can't really make out shapes. And the reason for those pretend eyes, when it's hiding on a plant like this, a bird would think it was a snake, and it would leave it alone. But they become the official state butterfly in New Jersey, the tiger swallowtail. Now, I want you kids to take a good look at this caterpillar. You'll see it's green, it has black stripes, it has little yellow circles in there. It's the black swallowtail. Now what's cool about this caterpillar, if you poke it with your finger, right from the top of the head, it's going to extend this osteria. It looks like a snake's tongue, but it gives off this terrible smell. It smells like spoiled cheese. And the reason it does that, see, if a bird came to your garden and grabbed that caterpillar with its mouth, it would put that orange thing near the bird's mouth, give off that horrible smell, and the bird go, ah, pooey, and spit them out. That way the caterpillar can run away and hide. Now, if you find these in your garden, what I want you to do, call your brothers and sisters outside, maybe invite your friends to your garden, and ask them, did you ever hear a caterpillar sing? They're going to say no, because most people think caterpillars don't make any noise. Tell them, well, this one's magical. But if you want to hear it sing, you have to put your ear right by it. Now, once they get their face close to that caterpillar, poke it with your finger. It's going to give off that horrible smell, and your friends are going to be going, oh my gosh, what's that? And then you just tell them, I don't know. Now, you're not going to hurt your friends. I would never let you hurt your friends. But nobody said we can't have fun with them. And I bet after you show them how they extend an osterium, I bet they're there all day long poking that poor little caterpillar. Now, we're going to jump ahead here, kids. If you ever see this caterpillar, do not go near it. Don't let your friends go near it. It has these spikes on the back with these spines sticking out. That's going to sting you. Your arm's going to swell up. You're going to end up in the emergency ward. Another one you need to stay away from is the stinging rose caterpillar. Once again, it's going to give you a very nasty sting. Now, all butterflies begin life as eggs. So the mother will lay an egg on the plant. A couple days later, it's going to become a caterpillar. After 2 weeks, it's going to hang upside down, the skin will split open, and the chrysalis will already be underneath the skin of the caterpillar. So it's going to wiggle and jiggle all around and get nice and comfy like this. It's going to stay in that form for 2 weeks. Right before he's ready to be born, you're going to see the butterfly right through the side of that tiny little chrysalis. But since it's so small, the wings are going to be smaller than your fingernails. But the stomach is full of butterfly blood. So he has to pump all that blood into the wings. That causes the wings to expand, but it still takes a day before it can fly away. Since I have a butterfly farm, I have a lot of chrysalises. And what I like to do is every year at Christmas time, is I decorate my Christmas tree with them. So it becomes a chrysalis tree. And then Christmas morning, as we're unwrapping presents, I have 200 butterflies being born right on my chrysalis tree. And then they'll go up to the top and they'll be very happy there. This butterfly, his name is Patchy. Patchy was a monarch butterfly that was in my fly house, but he lost his 2 wingtips. So I took the wingtips of a dead tiger swallowtail, I super glued them on Patchy, and Patchy flew away. Now, if you tell people you're going to glue the wings on a butterfly, they're going to tell you you're nuts. But if you do it and it works, then they're going to tell you you're a genius. So don't be afraid to experiment with your pet butterfly. That you could use for raising your own butterfly.
And Mommy back!
If you go outside and you find some caterpillars, I want you to practice what I call grow before you throw. So before you throw these things into the recycling bin, you're going to grow some butterflies. Now, if you find a caterpillar, just take a food container like this. Put the caterpillar in, add some leaves. Take an old piece of curtain, any kind of netting will work fine, put it over the hole. Take the lid, cut a nice big hole in it so it gets a lot of fresh air. Put that on the container to hold the netting in place. When it's done being a caterpillar, he's going to climb up the side, go in the middle, and become a chrysalis. Leave her right inside here. This is enough room for even a big old tiger swallowtail to emerge and dry its wings. Then once the wings are nice and dry, what you should do is take them outside. The Papago Indians from Arizona always said, if you whisper a wish to a butterfly and you set it free, the wish will come true. And I know it works, because I haven't done a hard day's work in over 30 years. Now, let's say you have a whole bunch of butterflies, or caterpillars, but you're going away for vacation, maybe you're going away for the weekend. Here's how you make an extended stay motel for butterflies. You take your margarine container. I can't believe it's not butterflies. Fill it up with water and poke a hole in the top. Then take that branch with your caterpillars on, put the stem through the hole. The water's going to keep that plant very fresh. Your caterpillar will always have good food to eat. But we don't want them to get lost. So you take a 2-liter bottle and cut the bottom off, and you're going to find out it's going to snap right into place for you. Now you can leave the lid on here, but I use a piece of netting and a rubber band so it gets fresh air. But this way you could go away for a couple days, you come back, your caterpillar will still be in good shape. Now if you go outside and you find a caterpillar on a plant, you don't even have to touch the caterpillar. All you have to do is take a dollar store laundry hamper. I get all my scientific equipment at the dollar store. Put it right down over top of the plant. Then I put a big rock in each handle. That keeps it from getting blown over. See, you need to protect your caterpillars because 9 out of 10 caterpillars will never become butterflies. They're going to be attacked and eaten by different insects and birds. But this way they'll be protected. When he's done being a caterpillar, he's going to climb up the side, go in his shady area, and become a chrysalis.